Beer, quite possibly the world's oldest fermented beverage, has a long, fascinating history. Originally created by accident, perhaps some 10,000 years ago, by a forgetful Mesopotamian farmer who left some barley and wheat in a clay vessel during a rainstorm. Upon returning a few days later, the farmer, who bravely decided to sample the strong-smelling concoction, made the discovery of fermentation. Explained in simple terms, beer is a beverage made when the natural sugars extracted from malted grain are fermented by yeast. It wasn't until 1079 AD that the world saw the first documented usage of the final ingredient to beer, as we know it today, hops. The main purpose of this bitter flowering vine in beer is to offset the sweetness of the malt, but soon after its initial use, brewers discovered the natural preservative quality of hops. This is where the Pale Ale and India Pale Ale were born. Beer has existed in America since the very beginning, but brewing as an industry really started to gain ground as German immigrants first started appearing en masse in the early 1800s. Brewing is deeply rooted in German culture, and when they came to the New World, they brought their taste for beer with them, particularly lager beer. Lagers are fermented at colder temperatures and are usually lighter and crisper than ales, which accounts for their overwhelming popularity today. Currently, 90% of the beer sold worldwide is lager. But what about the Hoosier State? The first registered commercial Indiana brewery, Boswell's, opened in 1817, only a year after Indiana became an official state. Many other ones would soon follow in its footsteps. The most notable and longest-running early breweries were Indianapolis Brewing Company, 1887 to 1948, and the Terre Haute Brewing Company, 1837 to 1959, which was famous for producing a beer called Champagne Velvet. Prohibition killed off many breweries in Indiana, and the number dwindled even more when the big three corporate breweries, Anheuser-Busch, Coors, and Miller, began to dominate the market in the 1960s and 70s. Hoosier microbreweries started to be seen as early as 1989, but the real boom years have only just begun. The Hoosier State may have started off a little behind on the craft beer revolution, but is quickly making up for lost time. As evidenced by Draft Beer magazine naming Indianapolis Beer Town USA in early 2012. Currently, there are about 42 breweries in the state. Although a few have closed recently, new ones continue to open up at a very steady pace. Indiana craft brewery offerings are increasingly available at hundreds of bars and restaurants around the state. Unlike most traditional brewing countries, the U.S. is not exclusively known for one particular style of beer. Indiana breweries are no exception. They are already known nationwide for being able to produce extremely high-quality examples of different worldwide beer styles, running the gamut from lagers to Russian imperial stouts. If you are looking for a good place to explore Indiana beer, consider the capital city, Indianapolis. The city and its surrounding area is where most of the state's breweries are clustered. Indianapolis is the 12th largest city in the U.S. with a population of approximately 1.75 million in the metro area and is one of the fastest growing regions in the country. Long considered the racing capital of the world and well known for its professional sports teams, Indianapolis also had the privilege of hosting the 2012 Super Bowl at Lucas Oil Stadium. Downtown Indianapolis has a plentiful selection of wonderful restaurants and bars serving up eclectic cuisine, but more importantly, many feature fresh Indiana brews. If you are looking for a good year-round option to try multiple Indiana beers on draft, the best choice is Tomlinson Tap Room, located on the second floor of the Indianapolis City Market. Tom Tap has 16 drafts of all Indiana craft beer from different breweries and featuring a wide variety of beer styles. Frequently you will see something extremely limited or hard to find on draft at Tom Tap. It's the perfect place to stop for a pint after a long workday. If you prefer the to-go option, carry-out growlers of your favorite Indiana craft beer are also available. Not far from the tap room, you'll find one of the fastest growing microbreweries in the world, Sun King Brewing Company. In 2010, Sun King's production jumped nearly 500%.
I started off brewing at Circle V Brewing Company that no longer exists. That's where I met this guy, and I called him up to see if I could get somebody else's number actually to brew with me at the Ram when we expanded to the north side.
And I said I would like to brew with you.
And he did say he would like to brew, and so that's really where Sun King began. Out of that conversation, we started to work together, realized that we had similar values and ideas and how we like to work, what kinds of beer, styles, types, all that kind of good stuff, and then we started having a conversation about this place.
Yeah. I started brewing professionally at Rock Bottom in 1999. I was a server, so it was actually about 13 years ago, right around this time of the year. And I, like Dave, worked in restaurants, and neither one of us really had an idea that brewing, I think, was a job that either of us could have until we worked at a brew pub where there were guys very similar to us doing that job. So we both worked really hard and edged our way into assistant brewer positions, scrubbing floors and washing kegs. So we spent a lot of time trying to plan a brew pub because that's all we knew. Because we'd worked in brew pubs forever, and that's all Indianapolis had, and we kept running into roadblocks in location, cost per square foot, foot traffic, lunch business, dinner business, all of these different things. And one day I looked at Dave and said, what if we just make beer? Being a production brewery and coming from a brew pub environment, you have that interaction with people. They can see what you do, you can talk to people.
Then fast forward to May of '09. That's when I left the Ram and came on board full-time with Sun King, and then we started the whole build-out and the beginnings of the brewery that you see today.
We brewed our first batch of beer on July 1st, 2009. You know, I really thought that today I would be the person who was out on the streets with samples of beer, stopping by bars, cold calling, saying, "Hi, I'm Clay, I'm with a little local brewery you've probably never heard of, but would you be interested in carrying our beer?"
We chose downtown specifically because we wanted to be Indianapolis's brewing company.
But it's not really our focus to try to get our beer everywhere, because we believe that beer is best when fresh, it's best closest to the source. And it's best when kept cold. We decided to can our beer because we believe that cans are a superior vessel for craft beer. The two largest deterrents of beer are sunlight and oxygen, so cans create an impermeable barrier from sunlight. The oxygen pickup in the canning process is really, really low, so at the end of the day, a can is like a tiny little keg that delivers draft quality freshness to your pint glass every single time.
Cans are infinitely recyclable. It takes less energy to recycle cans than it does glass. It weighs less, so we really are shipping only really the weight of the beer itself, so it's softer on the environment. There's this place on the left side of town where people drive fast in a big circle and you can't take glass in there. Craft brewing has continued to grow, and of the people who canned, their growth rate was skyrocketing over their brethren who did bottles.
We knew we wanted a hoppy beer because we're both hop heads, so Osiris is the beer that we brew because it's the beer that we want to drink. We knew we wanted a malty beer, and there's a lot of reds and browns in the world out there, and the Scottish Ale really fits in between those styles, and it's a nice malty style of beer. And then actually Sunlight was our first summer seasonal, and it just sold so well and people loved it so much, we decided to keep continuing brewing it. And really what those three styles of beer do is hit what I believe are kind of the core palates of beer drinkers, in that you've got something nice and light, so it's nice, light, easy drinking. It's approachable if you're not a craft beer fan. It's still a very solid beer if you are a craft beer fan. You've got something smooth and malty, and you've got something nice and hoppy. And we really want it to be something where if you think about Sun King, you don't necessarily just think that we make a great pale ale. We want you to think about Sun King and think, Sun King, they make all kinds of different beer, and think probably the crowning achievement of both of our brewing careers would have been the Great American Beer Festival last fall in 2011. And we won 8 medals, which shattered a 30-year record for the festival. But of those 8 medals, all 8 of those were seasonal and specialty beers.
We like to produce a bunch of varieties of beers because we like to drink a bunch of different styles of beers. We're local, we're your neighbor, just like you are. So any dollars that you spend on product for us go right back into Sun King, also to continue to hire. Right now we have 27 full-time employees and 40 or 50 part-time people. So by buying Sun King, you're helping the local economy directly by putting people to work, giving people jobs. We also try to incorporate as much local ingredients as possible. Seasonal beers are evidenced by that.
We do a lot of community involvement with organizations that help people help themselves, that try to work to really better the community.
We have a very strong conscience about our philanthropic indebtedness to the community that's been so supportive of us.
Without them, we wouldn't be able to be living our dreams. So.
Only a few streets away from Sun King, you'll find Flat 12 Beer Works, which opened in late 2010. Flat 12 makes all kinds of beers, but specializes in porters and stouts. The Lactomatic, one of their regular beers, is a milk stout, so named because it's made with lactose sugar. The resulting beer is full-bodied, smooth, creamy, and finishes with a light sweetness. A special release seasonal, the Glazed Ham Porter, is very unique. Although this brew might sound strange, it is a delicious, medium-bodied, and slightly sweeter dark brown ale with notes of cinnamon and other spices. With a large variety of options, Flat 12 always has a beer to satisfy any taste. After downtown, consider a visit to the first surviving Common Era microbrewery, the Broad Ripple Brew Pub. Established in 1990 by owner John Hill, an English immigrant whose taste for beers of his native land drove him to create his own. On tap at the brew pub, you'll find all historical British-style beers, such as pale ales, extra special bitters, and porters. The brew pub also usually features at least one beer on the handful, a traditional human-powered way of serving low-carbonated, cask-conditioned beers on draft. Only 4 blocks away, on Broad Ripple Avenue, you'll find the BREWS Brasserie, Indiana's premier location for Belgian-styled beer and gourmet fare. Co-owner Ted Miller began his brewing career at the Broad Ripple Brew Pub.
Yeah, I started up the street there at the Broad Ripple Brew Pub. I moved away in '94, and we decided that it would be to come home and open a brew pub, and this is what it turned into. And we elected the Belgian thing because 6 years ago it was kind of, it still is actually, the Belgian beer category just hugely successful and in massive growth. So we kind of went with that, and then we were throwing around all these ideas of what food we wanted to do to go with it, and then one of my partners, he said, why don't we do Belgian food? Makes sense, right? So we did, and it worked. And we've had fun doing it, and it's very much a niche. We've definitely got our little thing with our muscles and all this. From the Bruges perspective, I don't have any real grandiose plans of having a 60,000 barrel brewery. It's not really a goal of mine. My goal, I love people, I love talking, I love food, so I'm definitely focusing there. We will have the production brewery where we're doing bottles and some draft beer, to let more people drink the beer. We do know that there's going to be a line of pretty creative and aggressive American craft brews, as opposed to just the sort of the Bruges, Belgian, European-centric sort of stuff. So there will be 2 distinct lines coming out of that facility. That's happening sooner rather than later. As far as competition is right now, I'm not concerned about that. Our market is just too small. More the merrier. Let's go. Let's run with this.
If you find yourself in Broad Ripple in July and manage to get tickets, you should definitely not miss the Brewers of Indiana Guild Summerfest held in beautiful Optimist Park. Though the weather is usually quite warm and the lines can be long, the festival is the most cost-effective way to try beers from all over the U.S., especially the Midwest. But most importantly, every single Indiana microbrewery is usually in attendance.
My name's Jeff Miller. I just moved here from Kansas City, and this is my first time at the Microbrew Fest. It's just a wonderful way to experience all the different microbrews that Indianapolis has to offer so far.
My second visit this year. So far, it's about as good as it was last year. I'm a home brewer, so this is really a good chance to be able to talk to a lot of the brewers around to get ideas and, you know, to see where I'm going wrong when it comes to brewing. It's a nice learning experience. Hence the reason why I'm here, to learn, to drink, and to look at very nice ladies.
There isn't one particular style that is featured, but in general, IPAs and double IPAs tend to take center stage. On top of all the great house beers offered, there are numerous one-off creations, special versions of certain beers, and extremely limited release brews on hand to try. If you're lucky enough to be around when it's featured, the star of the entire festival is undeniably Three Floyd's Dark Lord.
And it is just sweet, caramely, deliciousness. If you got a mustache, it's just sticky and nasty. It's awesome. It's good. It's well worth the one time a year.
Consistently named one of the top 5 beers, not just in the state, and not just in the US, but in the world, this unholy Russian Imperial Stout clocks in at 15% alcohol by volume. It's brewed with vanilla, molasses, and the finest quality intelligentsia coffee. While fresh Dark Lord is good, it really shines when aged to perfection. A strong, flavorful beer like Dark Lord can age for years under the right conditions, kept in a dark, cool place and properly sealed. If you want to try to buy some Dark Lord, there are a few things that you need to know. Dark Lord is only sold at Three Floyd's Brewery in Munster, Indiana, and only on a single day every year, the last Saturday in April, Dark Lord Day. Make sure you're ready when the tickets go on sale. They are known to sell out almost immediately. Dark Lord Day features a crowd of thousands of people, tons of beer, food, and live bands. People come from all over the US and some from other countries to bring home bottles of this obsidian nectar. Some people attend the festival to trade for extremely rare beers, while others are seeking out hard-to-get draft brew from the various other breweries at the festival. At this time, the newest brewery to hit the Hoosier State is Planetary Brewing Company. Andy Groves is currently brewing out of his garage while he waits for federal and state paperwork to go through before opening his brewery in the Greenwood area of Indianapolis.
I created a brewing company. It's called Planetary Brewing Company. We were incorporated late January of this year, 2012, and basically just me, owner, operator, brewer, manager. It's a very small operation. It's technically a nano brewery. We're starting out with a 2-barrel system. We'll be in a couple of locations here on the south side and one location downtown. Otherwise, it will be in-house, mostly in growler sales. Well, I started about 5 years ago. It started with me basically appreciating a lot of craft beers. What really turned me on to craft brewing in general was once I found Belgian beers. I found them a lot more accessible. I like the spicy aspect of it, as well as it's a bit more palatable. It's not overly hopped. Just out of that, got into looking into home brewing because of the cost aspect. It was a hobby that turned into kind of a passion, which turned into more of an obsession. My brewing philosophy, I guess, would be just to be always learning, always trying new things, always trying different brewing either techniques or styles. Really, as far as what I brew, it just kind of runs the gamut. I never really had a specific style that I knew I had to brew all the time. The local aspect means that you can actually know the person that is brewing the beer that you're enjoying. As local as I can be, I will be. I'm getting ready to start growing my own hops, so I'll be using that probably in the dry hopping aspect, and also my imprint on the local environment in general. We don't use a lot of chemicals other than cleaners and sanitizers, but I'm trying to limit water usage, sewage, any kind of thing like that I possibly can.
The best way to end the year and start the new is undeniably with a beer festival. Brewers of Indiana Guild's Winterfest usually takes place in late January. It is an event not unlike the Summerfest. However, the focus tends to be on stronger and more flavorful brews to battle the chill of the season. Imperial stouts and barley wines are available from nearly every brewery. Many brewers also use this opportunity to share their special edition barrel and bourbon barrel-aged brews. There's even a wide selection of cask-conditioned beers served in vessels called firkins, which are poured only by gravity outside. Every year, more and more experimental beers make an appearance, including some very...
Fantastic event. I mean, there's a lot of people out here. All age city craft beer gets crowded. It's a fun environment, but everybody brings their A game. All these breweries are bringing their best stuff. Their seasonals, their one-off beers, and it's the only place you can get some of this stuff. So it's definitely worthwhile. It's a real sense of camaraderie here.
Going out towards the northeast side of Indianapolis, near Fort Benjamin Harrison is Triton Brewing. Triton opened in late 2011.
My name is John Lang. I am head brewer and one of the founders of Triton Brewing Company. We're out here on Fort Benjamin Harrison out in Lawrence, Indiana. We found this building. It's a 1924 mule barn that was used by the Army. We've started with 5 year-round beers or house beers. Right now as a new brewery, our production numbers are doing really well. We're doing so well that we've already added one new tank, and we're looking at adding at least 2, if not 3 by the end of the year. One of the big philosophies with Triton is you want to start with the water. It is the #1 ingredient in beer, and so we want to have the best water we can get. That's why we reverse osmosis filter it, and then we can build the minerals back the way we want. One of the beers we've added as of recent is a beer called Sin Bin. It is the official beer of the Indiana Ice, Sin Bin being a slang name for the penalty box. It is a Belgian pale ale running about 6.2%. We want to try to take care of local companies, so we've teamed up with the Ice to help promote this and deal with another local company.
While near the downtown area, don't miss a chance to stop at Fountain Square Brewing Company. Fountain Square is an up-and-coming community with a thriving nightlife and art scene.
My name is Bill Webster. I'm one of the partners with Fountain Square Brewing Company. My responsibilities are around HR, marketing, tasting room, and quality control. Back the summer 2010, I had brewed a Belgian ale. That night I was talking to a good friend of mine, and he said to me, how come we never decided to do a brewery? So I said, let me look into it. It was something where we could apply our passions. With retirement on the horizon, it was something that we could continue on to a second career with very well. So that right there was kind of the genesis of it. Started distributing to bars and restaurants at the beginning of October, and opened our tasting room on December 2nd. We decided early on that settling into one particular beer style was not where we wanted to go. We wanted to focus on having our set house beers. Even though they were in various beer styles, we wanted to be in a more sessionable range with those house beers. We've expanded quicker than we anticipated, and we have every intention of retaining our Fountain Square roots. I mean, one of the things by naming our company Fountain Square Brewing, we really wanted to solidify our location and stay here within this community. I think one thing that's important to understand too is our connection to the art community here and our support of the art community and its involvement in helping us perpetuate our brand. Local artist Brian Moore did these paintings, and he did our logo. The models are all local. We have a very local focus to Fountain Square for anything that we can do in terms of the arts. The people are beginning to see Indiana as a very serious, very dedicated brewing community. And I think we have a great opportunity to make Indianapolis, make Indiana a destination. I have a vision of Indiana being the capital of the Midwest in terms of brewing arts. Time and time again, we have people that come in here from out of state and they love our beer. They wish they had beer like this and where they're from. And it's just not Fountain Square beer. It's Indiana beer, Beer Brewery beer, Sun King beer, Flat 12 beer. It's not just the Circle City. It's about the beer as well.
Still unsure why local is the way to go? All Indiana beers are made from the finest ingredients available. No rice, no corn, no fillers. Indiana breweries also create hundreds of beers in all styles. There is literally a beer for every single individual taste. Getting beer straight from the brewery in a reusable growler is environmentally friendly and ensures the freshest product available. When you buy local, your money stays local, helping support the local economy, which includes helping to create all kinds of jobs at the breweries themselves. Breweries give back to other businesses by producing beers that source local products like fruit, hops, coffee, and other ingredients. Also, breweries often recycle their spent grain from the brewing process into animal feed, which helps to maintain a symbiotic relationship with Hoosier farmers. The best reason, however, is because some of the best beer in the entire world is made right here.